do you start from some foundational things? Do you start from what the end in mind is, right? Do you start from, hey, I think there's a real benefit to doing this. Who are the people that I need to change opinions to? Some of those kind of things. So you're touching on a number of different areas as you look at considerations of, and all essentially kind of tying back to some of the what is it that we're trying to address? What is the end in mind here? Where do we want to be? And then, almost, essentially assessing that or measuring that, and there's going to be some things that break down as a result of that. So, Vinny, what are your thoughts on, a number of different areas that we're talking about as organizations look to begin that journey, and starting there, and there's some foundational pieces certainly that Sean just touched on quite a bit. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think the big thing that we all have to realize is that the federal government looks upon us to be trusted advisors, right? And what does a trusted advisor mean? It means telling them and advising them, obviously in an eloquent way, when to do and when not to do things based on our experience. Like Sean mentioned, we all have collectively a lot of, keyboard time and time on the street around learning what works and what doesn't work. And I took a couple of bullet points that I felt are important for agencies who are listening to this. Think about how do they start. Absolutely do not try to solve the world's problem. Do not try to boil the ocean, right? There's a term that I learned from a good friend of mine around failing fast. Don't be afraid of that. Fail fast is a great methodology, especially when what we typically do, you wrap around an agile methodology for how you are collecting requirements, to prioritizing requirements, vetting them with your executive sponsor, vetting them with your customer, applying them, and then you collect and you assess. Was it successful? And do it fast. Do it within days, weeks. And one of the big things around agencies that prevent that agility also comes down to contracting, right? You want to be able to measure your contract performance. You want to be able to provide feedback to your contractors and your customers. Is it working? Is it not working? Are there barriers? Can we make changes to improve that so that federal agencies can buy from industry and get what they want at the right time? So I'm always big from a contract perspective. And then the last piece, talking about the fail fast methodology, lean forward, disrupt. I think, in federal government, we always look at federal government as the stable boat, right? It's always going in a trajectory that changes slowly. And that's okay, but don't be afraid of introducing new thoughts, new ideas. You're looking at technologies. There's so many options for federal agencies to evaluate and to assess with minimal risk. What does cloud mean to me? Do I really understand the shared responsibility model around risk and security, right? Work with your industry partners to understand. And then last but not least, technology choices. We talked about BMC Helix. SaaS, is something that has been a slow uptick and adoption with the federal government. But you look in the past year, maybe two, the procurements have come out for SaaS-based services, especially those that have a very low level of risk to entry. They're highly secure. They're accredited for your organization up to the highest levels for you to do things like measure your cloud cost, cloud spend, measure your cloud security. We talked about previous customer. We leverage Helix Cloud Security to provide real insight before information security was even aware, right? So those are the kind of things I always like to lean forward, because it drives that organizational change. It drives people to think about what's possible, and then you tune back, right? You kind of find the middle ground of what is acceptable within your agency.
No, I love it, and some of the things both of you are talking about is winning, assessing, and measuring in a way that's quick and agile. And I think one of the things, Vinny, you just said that it's really interesting around boiling the ocean. We see A lot of large projects sometimes that for whatever reason never really get kind of the fulfillment that they have. So probably, as we talked about, change agents before, and then others drafting behind them, and seeing the benefit that they're getting. It's an interesting journey that as we look at the ways to impact and have change, right? Especially within federal, especially given the fact of some of these folks, whether they may transition, or in the DoD side they may PCS to another duty station. Those kind of things are all impactful to this, right? So